right, what's going on, everyone? This is Pound for Pound Combat Sports Podcast, joined by Mondo, and we're going to dive right into this Archer Beterbiev versus Dmitry Bivol scoring controversy. So, as you can see here, we've got the three judges here: Manuel Palamo, Glenn Feldman, and Paolo Cardini, and then we got my card, and then Mondo's card. Um, So just for some preface, I scored the fight. I tried to score each minute of every round, and then some other halfway through the fight, or like about halfway through, I started scoring every 30 seconds because of how close some of these rounds were. So I'd score like 30 seconds, and then I'd pick a winner for that minute, and I do the same thing for the second and third minute, and I try to see who won a majority of the the round by like at least 2 of the 3 minutes. And if I didn't find a clear winner for that minute, I'd say tie. And if there, and so on and so forth. And then Mondo, how were you scoring the fight on a per round
Yeah, I was
basis?
just scoring. Yeah, I was trying to kind of mimic what a judge would do. I wasn't trying to do any replays or anything like that or slow motion. I know they probably had like a way better view than like what we had from the camera angles, but I did pretty much exchange by exchange and tallied up the exchanges, and whoever had the most exchanges won for each round, I would give it to that person. Um, But before we start, was there like a big difference from watching it live to when you rewatched it, or was it
Yeah,
pretty much what you were thinking?
I had so originally going into those championship rounds, I had Bivol slightly ahead. So by the end of the fight, I was like, I think it's a pretty much a draw. I think if I had to pick a winner, it would have been Beevil, maybe by like a round
Mm.
or two. But I was definitely satisfied with the um, what is that 114 or 6-6. So when I heard that, that was totally fair in my eyes. How did you see it?
Live scoring.
Yeah, your initial score.
My initial score,
It doesn't have to be an
dang,
exact
it
score,
was
but just like a winner or a
yeah.
tie.
I wasn't really scoring the fight live, but I saw how I definitely had saw Beeble winning some rounds decisively, but I don't know. I just feel like there wasn't a lot of volume to kind of base my decision off,
Yeah.
when I saw it live. Yeah, and then like from a further distance, it was kind of hard to score, but I thought that it was like pretty close.
I was gonna say I didn't score on a per round basis either. I just thought the momentum was also. I think I was biased from the commentary, but I had Bevel slightly ahead. But actually, at the end of the fight, I thought Archer did more damage. But I don't know. It was hard to say. But keep going.
Yeah. When I was watching it live and then when I rewatched it, I definitely saw that Arthur was getting way more. He was getting way more than Beeble for punch, but Beeble was just landing a little more volume. But he was also moving a lot, so I could see how some judges could have, seen that in from a negative perspective and scored it for Artur. But when I was rewatching the fight closely, I saw Artur was missing a lot of the shots in the mid rounds that I thought he was scoring, and when I was watching it live.
Yeah. All right. So we're going into these scorecards. I have this labeled. So the orange would be a close round. Yellow is a clear winner, and red is we picked a winner, but we could give those a draw or a tie. So I picked a winner. We picked a winner for just clarity, just so we could add up those final totals and get an average score and whatnot. But those red rounds are rounds that could go to either guy, but we just picked one just for clarity's sake. So we both had Bivol winning rounds 1 through 3. The judges had first two going to Bivol. Um, I had the first round was close, but the second round I had clear round for Bivol. Um, and I scored it per minute each minute. I thought Bivol won basically every minute, so I gave that a clear round to Bivol. Um, and then you had that round three as a draw, and they gave it. All three judges gave it to Artur, and then I ended up giving it to Bivol. I had him winning slightly. Let's see. I think Archer. I had Archer ahead, and then Bivol ended up finishing stronger, so I gave that to Bivol. Um, Let me see. And then if there's anything you have to add, just stop me. But I'm gonna keep rolling through this.
All right, you go
Uh,
ahead and finish, and then I'll go
okay, yeah.
finish your
So
whole
then,
card.
so then round four, two judges gave it to Bivol, one gave it to Archer. I gave it to Archer. You gave it to Bivol. So I think round four was one of those rounds where you could have gone to either guy, and I had that label as a close round for mine. Um, I had it Bivol or Beterbiev, but close. Let me see here. I had Beterbiev winning the second and third minute. He had more hard punches in the second minute, and he finished strong in the third minute, but it was by a slim margin. I think it, and when it was close in a minute, I would give it to whoever had more output or more effort to win the round slash um, win the fight or do more to push the fight in the direction of their scorecard. So if it was ever close, I would always go for the guy that was doing more, even if he was missing. Um, like there was I'll get into that in these later rounds, but once I get there, round 5 and 6 I had Archer for clear rounds. Um, and then 7 and 8 I had pretty much draw, but I gave them to Archer. Round 7 was the controversial one for me that I gave to Arthur. Originally, I had it pretty much a draw, a dead draw, but then I was like, I leaned towards Arthur because he finished stronger, I think, and Bivol just wasn't answering. And this is what I was going to get into. There was a lot of
Well,
rounds
that was
where
around that. Real quick, that was around where they both hurt each other, huh?
yeah, there was, yeah, exactly. So, and that was the round where Bivol was winning. Like he won the first minute, he won the second minute, and that third minute, Bivol or Beterbiev, um, he hurt Bivol, and then Bivol just didn't do anything. And this was a problem he had in several rounds, where he shelled up and put his hands in a high guard, and he just didn't throw. And so if I was a judge and I'm scoring this, even if Beterbiev's hitting his gloves, not landing flush, it just looks so bad on Bivol's part when he's just sitting there with his hands up and he's getting hit on the gloves and his body's kind of moving because Arthur hits so hard. So I had to give it to Arthur just because Bivol had literally no answer, and he was moving around, but he just wasn't throwing any punches. And when he was getting hit on the gloves, his head would move around, so it just looked visually it looked bad. So I gave it to Arthur. But Bivol, that was the round that Bivol gave up. Bivol had that round in the bag. The first 2 minutes he won, and then that third minute, uh, Beterbiev just stole it. And you really can't do that when the rounds are close, or when the fight's close. Round 8, I said could be a draw, but again, Beterbiev ended the round better. Or I had the first and third minute as a tie, and then that second minute, the middle minute, Beterbiev did a little bit more, so I had to give it to him. But again, that was a draw round for me. Round 9, I had a clear round for Bivol. He won the first 2 minutes, and then the third minute I gave to Beterbiev, but just barely. So I gave the round as a whole to Bivol. Rounds 10 through 12 I gave to Arthur, with the round 11 being a clear round for Arthur. Bivol just, again, he did that thing where he just had his hands up and just literally wasn't throwing. That was a really bad round for Bivol. Um, and then that 12th round was pretty close, but I think Beterbiev did enough in each minute to snag that. Just barely. He would land like good body shots, clean, obvious shots. Whereas Bivol would land, but better one thing Beterbiev Archer did really well is almost after every good shot that Bivol landed, Beterbiev was stepping on the gas. He would come straight forward and just throw. It didn't matter if it landed on the arms, the gloves, whatever. It visually it just looked like really bad for Bivol. Not bad, but it would take away from Bivol's good punches. Um, when when he would land like maybe one good shot and then Beterbiev's landing like 5, 6 punches on the gloves and one gets through, and so it like almost drowns out the good stuff that Bivol does. And I think that's something that he has to correct in the rematch if they do it. Is he can't just throw and then put his hands up and not throw anything for like 10 seconds after he lands a good shot. But that was my summary of the fight. I had Archer winning 8-4. If I divided those tie rounds, I had it 7-5, and if I got rid of the draw rounds altogether, I had it 6-4, and then clear rounds, I had it 3-2. So all around the board, I had Archer winning by about basically 2 rounds if you average this out. But overall,
Yeah.
8-4. So I'll let you go into it, and then we'll kind of give a summary after.
Yeah, for sure. Even though the full fight was like pretty close, I think there was definitely like three periods in the fight that were like where the dynamics of the fight were changing a little bit. The first 2 rounds, uh I saw that there were in the first round there were 5 significant exchanges, and four of the five Beevil won in my eyes. So Evil, he started off jabbing a lot. It didn't look like he was jabbing pretty hard, but it was just enough to where he would reset Arthur every time Arthur was trying to step in, because Arthur, he doesn't have the most educated feet, and he kind of like tries to rush you to fight at close range, and that's where I thought that when I originally had my prediction, I thought that Beevil's feet were and his countering abilities, his timing were going to be too good throughout the fight, and would stop Arthur from getting all the way inside. Kind of like he towards the beginning of the fight, I thought that he was doing a good job. But even so, there wasn't a lot of volume. In round two, I only saw 2 significant exchanges, and Beevil had won those. In round three, in my eyes, there were 3 or 8 significant exchanges, and I thought that Beevil had won 4, and Arthur had won 4 of those. Up to this point, the reason why I thought Beevil was winning is because Arthur was throwing like 1 or 2 punches at a time hard, but he wasn't able to get all the way in, and Beevil would counter those punches with like flurries of 3 and 4 punches. So even though Arthur, well, yeah, he was just getting out volume by Beevil, even though there wasn't a lot of volume overall.
Yeah, I had the same thing. I had B-ball. Just he landed just a handful of more clean, stronger punches. But keep going.
Yeah, and towards the beginning, all those flurries, they were clean. It wasn't like in the arms or anything
Yeah,
from either guy. They were punching clean, and
that's
Beevil was
exactly how I had
clearly
it.
winning the exchanges.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then 4 and 5, Arthur started pressuring a little more, but he was still not able to catch Beevil with the right hand. Um, at the end of his rush or blitz, whatever you want to call it. I had Beevil. It got closer because Arthur was starting to, trying to bite down and not get a little more reckless, but trying to maybe get hit so he could kind of hit in between. But Beevil was still like really good at that in and out style where I had him beating Arthur by 1 exchange in rounds 4 and 5 just by countering. And then 6, this is one thing that I don't like about boxing scoring is that the judges don't like to give draws. They always
yeah,
tend to give a 10-9, which is bullshit, but it is what it is. But if I was a boxing judge, I would give draws if I didn't see anything that separated them. But
Yeah,
I
I would.
gave six a
Yeah,
draw as well. Yeah,
I would say
and
especially in a 12 round fight, I would be giving out some draw rounds. Maybe in like a 4 or 6, I would just say 10-9, just because it's like such few rounds. But definitely a 12 round fight, I think judges need to at least look and seriously consider maybe just putting some draws in there if they can't pick one, because it seriously affects
yeah,
the overall score of the fight when you have some rounds that are just dead draws, but you have to pick some guy because I mean, as you can see, our scorecards like they're pretty freaking close. But yeah, keep going.
yeah, and that's where also like open scoring would come into play. It would be another good resource. But
Yeah,
I think that from not giving draws, like from not giving individual round draws, I think that's where like the terms like rank general shift gain popularity because now you're starting to score a fight off something that's like it's another idea that's not actually fighting, you know.
yeah.
But that's a topic for that's another topic that it's like more fundamental.
We'll come back to that at the end after you're done because I do have something to say. But keep going.
Yeah. And then in round 7, that was where Beef or up to this point of the fight, this is where Beterbiev kind of separated from Bivol. This is where you said that Bivol was starting to move because before he was moving, but he was like dodging and blocking, but he was countering in between Beterbiev shots. But round 7 is where he for the first time in the fight that he was moving and just with the high guard and not doing anything. And then round 8, I gave it a draw. It was a very low volume. I only saw two significant exchanges in the whole round. Round 9, like you said, it was pretty decisive for me for Bivol. This is where I thought like damn, like I had already Bivol winning the fight up to this point, but I thought he was going to start taking over cuz he looked super comfortable. It was like one of his best rounds, like he looked really fresh. But then the rest of the rounds, he was doing essentially what you had mentioned, where he was just moving and not throwing back. But
Yeah,
in round 7, when you said it was like pretty close, yeah, Bivol started pretty strong, and he hurt Beterbiev even. But in between that exchange where Beterbiev was hurt, he caught Bivol. I think maybe Bivol got a little careless,
yeah,
but Bivol got hurt and he was just trying to recover. It was different from rounds 10, 11, and 12. That was a different type of
yeah,
inactivity from Bivol. I think the inactivity in round 7 from Bivol came from being hurt and trying to recover.
yeah. It was that punch against the rope where Archer was shelled up and then Beevil unloaded a good combo, and I had Beevil winning the first 2 minutes of that round, and then immediately on that third minute, or somewhere in that third minute of that seventh round, BF catches Beevil with a good, I don't know if it was a left or right, but it was a really good punch, and immediately Beevil just shuts down for the rest of that round. So that was I had to give it to Better BF because of that, because BF
Oh
Better
yeah, I
BF
gave it
was
to
just
Beterbiev.
yeah, because he was just landing some like half the shots were probably not landing clean or anything, but visually it just looks really bad when you're running around the ring, getting hit on your gloves and not throwing anything. Like if I think if Bivol, even if he since he did get hurt, I think if Bivol was able to just keep throwing while he was moving, I think I could have even given that round to Bivol, but it was the fact that he just stopped throwing altogether that I had to give it to Better BF.
Yeah, I think rounds 10 to 12, I think Bivol was just that ass tired. And
Yeah,
Beterbiev doesn't have to punch you that hard for it to like have an impact on you, you know? Like you were saying, if
yeah,
he just touches you, your body kind of moves around. And Bivol just didn't have that snap at the end to like keep him honest, how he had been doing it. 'Cause he was doing a good job. He like I said, in my eyes, he Beterbiev would land a good shot, but Bivol would make sure to out volume that one shot that Beterbiev. It's because Beterbiev just his feet are kind of fucking slow, man. He takes forever to reset sometimes.
yeah. And I so yeah, going back to what we were saying earlier with the ring generalship. I think you're correct in like ring generalship shouldn't really count. But I think in this fight it was like it looked like ring generalship where you could give it to Beterbiev because he was walking forward, but I think it was more than that. I think it was because Beterbiev he would when he was walking forward he would just throw like these like they almost look like arm punches, but he would throw like two, three, four in a row, and they would land on Bivol's gloves, and Bivol would just be so complacent with moving around and not bothering to like jab his way out or I mean he did it a lot, but there was also a lot of times where Bivol would have his hands up and circle around and just not throw, and that for that reason I had to give a lot of these rounds to Archer Beterbiev because it I mean if you go to the CompuBox numbers you can see Beterbiev through um a
Well,
significant amount more of punches. Let me see here. 306 to 168. So in a fight that's really close, it just visually it's obviously it's gonna look when you're both land a good clean shot, but one guy's landing two, three more punches on the gloves. I mean, visually it looks like the guy that's landing two, three extra punches on the gloves probably one is winning that round. If that makes sense, does that make sense? I don't know.
mhm. Oh,
Yeah.
it does
So
sometimes, and
yeah,
visually, like visually, people. When I was watching it live, I wasn't surprised that Beterbiev won because when I was watching it live, it seemed like those arm punches or whatever, with the noise of the crowd and with the commentators, it seemed like they were having way more effect than when I rewatched it. When I rewatched it, like mute, it didn't have that same effect for me personally. Because at the end of the day, that's not fighting, right? That's just putting a kind of a facade. It's
yeah,
kind of like it's kind of like your poker face, which is that's why I say that it's not really it is scoreable because when you're in the atmosphere, you have all these like sensations contributing to how you're perceiving
mhm,
life in that situation.
yeah.
But I try to keep that out of like to be as most unbiased as I can be. Try to keep that out of my score, but I can definitely see how it affects judges though, especially live.
Yeah, and yeah, I want to preface like when I was scoring this, I there was definitely many moments where I had to rewind it and rewatch several parts of the fight, and and so that obviously affected how I scored the fight because when I was rewatching a lot of the parts, Beevil or if I was there as a judge and I was sitting really close, a lot of those exchanges where Archer would land three or four shots and like almost all of them were blocked. I would rewind it and I would see Beevol's head move around and like one if he threw like three punches on the gloves, almost always one would slightly get through and get Beevol a little bit. And so that's why a lot of
Yeah.
these close rounds I gave to Archer. And so like when I'm scoring this, just keep that in mind. Like I had to rewatch it and really make sure who won, and so a lot of those
Yeah.
and so like that's something that Bevol's got to correct is he cannot just sit there with his hands up and circle out and keep moving. Like I mean I know that's part of his style, but in a close fight, he's even if it's like not that effective to just throw a couple punches out. I think visually that could have helped Bivol win a lot of these rounds. Not a lot, but a few of these rounds could have on my scorecard could have gone to Bivol just based off of him not sitting there getting hit on the arms and the gloves. But it's
Oh,
tough.
for sure. Yeah. I didn't rewatch it because I wanted to keep it as like as classic as possible, you know, because as if I was scoring live. Maybe if I would have
Yeah.
rewatched it, I would have maybe scored it different. But there were rounds where like 10, 11, 12, and 7 that it really looked bad when Beeble was just shelling up and moving. But the other
Hmm.
ones were the other rounds I had it as draw. To me, it wasn't that much of a difference as ineffective pressuring. You know,
Yeah.
it was both ineffective pressuring and ineffective defending at some instances, but because they both neutralized each other, I gave it a draw, and I just couldn't lean towards one another because they were both ineffective equally. Like you said, like the ones where Bivol really, really looked bad, 10, 11, 12, and 7, I for sure gave those to Beterbiev.
Yeah, yeah. And again, like there was so many good. There were so many round like not so many, but there were some rounds where Bivol would just land the most clear, obvious punches, but where he came up short was he got away from his combinations. Like, and I get stylistically he doesn't want to be trading a lot of combos with Beterbiev because Beterbiev can we've seen he can just sit there and just keep throwing nonstop. But I like that Bivol can also do that. And like a lot of his fights, like Canelo, he was throwing combination after combination. And I think if he would have done that a little bit more, he could have won maybe a couple more rounds. Because like I said, like Bivol would land a really really clean shot, and then Beterbiev would step right up to him and just throw 3, 4, 5 punches on his gloves, and one would get through, and it would just completely drown out what the good shots that Bivol had landed. And so I think in the rematch, Bevel's got to, after he lands that clean punch, he's got to either step back and then jab, jab, or land a clean punch and then just throw a couple more after and then step back. But a lot of the times, Bevel would land one clean punch and then and not just stop, but then he would let Better BF step up and throw. So it's either he's got to be in and then all the way out, or again, throw and then just throw a couple more because he would throw and then sometimes he would just shell up and then circle around and then it would look bad. So I don't know. And you could see that on these punch stats, like 306 to 168 is a significant difference. And in a close fight, um, the judges will probably lean towards the guy who's landing, 2 or 3 extra shots, even if they're on the gloves or whatnot.
Yeah, 90 punches. That's
Yeah.
it. What was, can you go back?
Yeah.
I mean, that's some shit volume right there from both of them though. That's like 90. They didn't even break 100
Or
in
yeah,
power punches.
total punches it was 682 to 423. Bivol landing slightly more. But again, like I was saying, Bivol would land, but then it was those like 2 extra like almost 1.5 extra
Yeah, yeah.
punches that Beterbiev would land on the gloves or whatever. But and then again,
Yeah.
uh Bivol did a good job with the jabs, but even in that part of the fight, like you can see here, Beterbiev would just throw more. You see what I'm saying? 376 to 255. Even though Bivol landed more jabs, it was just the fact that Beterbiev popped that one extra jab or half extra jab to the glove that it would just look like those close exchanges where even though Bivol landed the cleaner one, and I should give it to Bivol, Beterbiev would just throw a couple like a half extra punch. Statistically, it would look maybe like one extra jab, but statistically like a half extra jab, and that would drown out the good jab that Bivol had landed. Even though I want to score the fight on the clean punches, if I had gone back and scored this on the clean punches only, I I might lean towards Bivol in some of these rounds, but Beterbiev did a good job of drowning out those 1, 2 clean punches from Bivol by just throwing that combination out of right after. And that was the problem that in a lot of these close rounds when I look back, I would be like, oh, Bivol was ahead, and then Beterbiev would answer with a return combo, and then Bivol would not re-answer. He wouldn't answer Beterbiev's answer, if that makes sense. That sounds kind of confusing, but Bivol would land a good punch, Beterbiev would answer it, and then there was no answer from Bivol after that, which is I had to give the nod to Archer on some of these rounds.
Yeah, for some of those instances, I would just classify those in my scorecard as not significant exchanges. If there wasn't clean, I wouldn't put it as significant exchanges. So I think that's one difference in the way that you scored it to me.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, but and then again, like that goes back to like how judges score fights. Like they don't give out enough draw rounds, and that was something I was trying to focus on was just picking a winner for the round, just to be clear and concise on the total scoring. But so I was thinking like if I have to pick one, I would have leaned towards Archer. But again, a lot of those exchanges could have been like wipes, like draw, but it was just like that little extra effort that Archer gave on the end of them, and then the fact that Bivol didn't re-answer Beterbiev was like, fuck, that just looks so bad. When you're scoring a fight as a judge and who has to go 10-9, like they have to pick a winner or whatnot. Um,
Oh
but
yeah,
then,
and I
but
would
yeah,
typically and I would typically score for the person that's putting pressure. Typically, I would,
hmm
but to me, I guess to me the even though I mean I've sparred like big dudes and like I've like moved like I've gotten moved by them just physically, but like it I don't feel anything, you know. So from that perspective, I could see why Beeble was just cruising that part of the round where he thought that he might have done enough, you know.
yeah,
But yeah, to me, I would score draws and I would score only significant to score like a real fight. Score draws for the rounds that are draws, and
hmm
score only significant exchanges. But that's just me though. Like I'm not trying to have a winner like the system that the current judges have. You know, like
yeah,
I want to
yeah,
be as pure as possible.
right, right. Let me see here. So I just added these totals here. So three. Yeah. So when I'm looking at these total scores, and I look at the clear rounds, Archer won 4 rounds where he got all of our scorecards to align, which was 5. There's 5 total. Beevil got 3. So I mean that just shows how close it was, even on the clear rounds, and then going down to those in between ones, 4-1.
Yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, that just if you look at this, it shows how close it was, and the total was like 6.8 to 5.2. So yeah, originally when I heard that judge they gave it 8-4, I was like, how the hell did he do that? And then I rewatched it and I was like, oh okay, that's not that crazy. Like it's not as crazy as I originally thought it was. And then when you look at the draw rounds, it goes to 6-4. So I still had Archer winning by at least 2. So technically, like that's 115 to 113. I think is probably the most accurate score. If you had to pick a winner, either way, it could have gone 115, 113, and then actually even a draw might be the best possible score. But if you had to pick a winner, I'd probably say it would only be by that 115, 113. Um, how do you think a rematch
yeah.
goes?
Yeah, I was about to say, nevertheless, like the rematch is supposed to happen anyway, and I don't know, man. I think it
What do
might
you
be the
think?
same.
What do you think? Each fighter did well, or and then what do you think they did bad? Start with Archer.
What he did good,
Yeah,
Arthur.
we'll both go through the
He
good first.
yeah, I thought Arthur did a good job at pacing himself and knowing when to apply pressure. Like in the 7, 9, 7, 10, 11, and 12, he really made Beeble look bad by applying that pressure and throwing those little combinations. Even though those were arm punches, he was landing some clean. He was actually landing clean punches in those rounds, and that's why I did give Arthur those rounds compared to the other ones. The plus other ones were a lot closer. Beeble was exchanging a lot more.
Yeah.
But Arthur just has that experience to know when to turn it on and to not. He's not like one of those wild power punchers that just kind of come wild and waste their energy. He's kind of like Tank in the way that they know how to apply pressure, when to apply it. You know.
hmm Yeah, and so I agree. Like I think what Archer did well was immediately answering almost all of the exchanges that Bivol had won, right? So Bivol would land a good shot, a really clean shot, and then Archer would might not land a really clean shot back, but he'd land 3, 4, 5 shots on the gloves, and it would again I said this earlier, it would kind of drown out the good that Bivol did. So he knows how to win rounds and how to win fights like that on a decision. Um, what else did he do? He did so you were saying his footwork was a little sus, and I would agree.
At the
Yeah,
beginning, yeah. at the
I would
beginning. Yeah.
agree. His footwork is not like it's not very dynamic. It's very yeah, he just like kind of walking forward. But for him, honestly, I like it works. Like the way he throws combos, he's always in that good stance when he's not because he's not moving so dynamically. If that makes sense, like he's moving around almost like he's just always in that fighting that little squared stance where he can just keep throwing a wide array of punches, and I think that's what would help him land on the gloves a lot and land several punches on the gloves. Because if he's, trying to go in and out while he's throwing, he might come up short with half those punches that he would throw. But it was just like kind of the fact that he would take those little half steps forward and just keep that stance. I think that it helped him. Um, I think, but that goes to the fact that Bivol was not. He would show up a lot, right? He wasn't dynamically punching with his good footwork, which is something that he needs to bring back in this next fight. Like Bivol's got way superior footwork, but he didn't take advantage of it, and Archer kind of took advantage of the bad uh, of what Bivol wasn't doing, right? Like Bivol he would move around with his feet very well, but he'd have his hands up high and it wasn't throwing while he was doing it at some points of the fight, and Archer would just he even had though he had bad footwork, he was just throwing those punches and it would just look good. But what do you think Bivol did good in this fight?
Wait, before we go to what Beevil did good, I agree, but like you said, that you were saying that Arthur did good about um returning to the exchanges that Beevil threw. That
Mm-hmm.
was exactly the same thing that Beevil did good at the beginning of the fight. The first
Yeah,
5 rounds, Arthur would initiate the exchanges, and Beevil would outvolume him and give that little more. So you know how they were both doing kind of the same thing, but in their different ways.
yeah,
And that's where Archer's floor was really shit because Beeble was just stepping back, boop boop boop, coming back in, boop boop boop, out.
yep,
Um, but Beeble said that he was watching some Sugar Ray Leonard fights or some shit before this fight, and he was just trying to move. Well, that's what Beeble did good. Uh, Transitioning over to what Beeble did good at the beginning, he was snappy and he was responding exactly what you said about that Arthur did good. That's exactly what Beeble did good, but towards the beginning of the fight.
yeah.
What did you think? What did you think? Beeble did good.
I think Bivol did a good job of defending those combinations. Like he would block probably 80% of those long combinations that Beterbiev was throwing, but every now and then like one or two would kind of slip through and then he wasn't answering that. So that's the kind of the good and bad. Um Again, he had superior footwork. He had very good clean shots that were very clean and obvious. Like if this was an amateur fight, I know they score like the most clean and obvious shots. I think this fight would be closer, maybe even in favor of Bivol, because I think Bivol he did a really good job of landing those really solid, um, obvious shots. Uh, but what Bivol did bad was he wouldn't answer sometimes enough, and he'd give up. He would be winning a round, winning an exchange, and then he'd kind of give it up to Beterbiev just based off of output. Let me think. What do you think Bivol needs to work on, or what did he do bad?
Yeah, I'll say what they both did bad, and then I'll say what they need to work on. So what Arthur, I mean, I've said this multiple times that his worker is kind of clumsy, but kind of he has no other way of coming in of initiating an exchange. It's the same thing. He has no different routes, and I would something that he needs to work on is kind of feint more,
True.
kind of throw lead right hands and kind of throw lead different punches and just a jab, and
Mm-hmm.
he kind of just comes in straight. But he's just like so strong, and he also
Yeah.
doesn't know how to fight in mid range. He's all the way out or he's all the way in. In between,
Facts.
that's where he's hella. That's where he's hella clumsy, and he got countered by Bevo coming in for the first 4 rounds like cleanly.
Yeah. I
And
want to.
Um,
Go ahead.
and after he tried coming in, he would try to throw again, but Bivol would come right back and time him. But that's what Arthur needs to work on. What Bivol needs to work on is he needs to work on fighting on the inside, because the way Arthur sucks at fighting long to mid range, if Bivol already has his number there. But if he can improve on the inside, and he has like really good snappy jabs and twos, but honestly his hooks are and uppercuts and stuff like that. His rounded punches are like pretty shitty. He kind of
Yeah.
tries to throw. He tries to throw a hook like like if you're snapping a straight right hand, and it's just different mechanics, you know.
Hmm.
That's why. That's why Arthur was able to like disrespect, quote unquote, his power towards the end, because he was losing the snap. But if he knows, if you know how to fight on the inside, you know how to take a break from all the movement, and then after you get a break, you can go on your bike again. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say like, I agree with a lot of the stuff you're saying. Like Bivol, he's not that as good in the close range, but then Archer's not as good in the mid range. And there was that like that seventh round I got to go back to. Bivol, if he had just not dove in there when Archer was on the ropes, if he had stayed at that mid range where he's better, he would. I don't think he would have gotten caught by Archer, but he kind of there was points where he would get too close. Like I wish he would have fought a little bit more like on the end of his punches instead of kind of trying to get in too close. Because in that seventh round, he got a little bit overzealous and he stepped in right into Archer's range. Whereas if he had just taken a half step, even if he had missed those follow up punches, just thrown them out and then taken that half step in, thrown them, even if he had missed, then take a half step back, I don't think Archer would have landed that big punch that he did. And I think that round seven could have gone to Bivol. Um, and we would have had a draw, or actually, yeah, it would have been a draw. It would have been Bevel up on one scorecard, draw, and then Arthur up on one scorecard, and so that came down to that round seven where and that's also where the tide started to kind of turn around. I mean, Bevel did win the following rounds, but then he kind of gave it up at the end. But if he had kept that momentum through seven, because seven I had him up by good margin, and if he had kept that momentum through the rest of that round, he probably would have won that round, and then like I said, a draw. But what was I gonna say? I can't remember,
But
but yeah.
Bivol said that for him and the rematch, he wants to move more. I think that he should learn how to fight on the inside and then move kind of when he needs to. But again, it's kind of dangerous against Arthur. But Bivol did. I mean, he didn't get hit super clean, to be honest, in the fight. And maybe his chin wouldn't hold up. I'm not sure, but
Oh yeah,
I think yeah.
that's what I was gonna say. I think um, coming to this fight, you could clearly tell the game plan for Bivol was to not get hit by a very clean shot, like because we've seen Beterbiev, he can go all the way to the end, and then if he catches you, it's over. And I think that's why we saw Bivol so defensive, so um, I don't want to say complacent with getting with giving up exchanges, but he was a little bit too careful, right? You'd see moments in this fight where Bivol he had just had his hands glued to his cheek like Mike Tyson, and it was not going to give Archer any chance to finish him. And I think that's something Bevel's got to kind of honestly, he's got to give that up a little bit. I'm not saying he has to go completely hands down, but I think he's got to fight with his hands ready to return, because if he does that in the second fight and it's close, I think the judges will do the same thing and give the edge to Arthur, or the nod to Arthur, because it just looks visually, it looks so bad when Bevel's got his hands up and he's just not throwing, and even if he's not getting hit clean, it's just, I don't know. I think in a close fight, it's got to be fixed.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, you can't win a fight if you're not throwing. So that's you definitely got to fix that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, he has really good feet, and if he just had like a really good hook he would fucking he would be way better against Beterbiev if he had a good hook. But
Yeah.
he's a two he's a two weapon fighter. That's all it is.
Uh-huh. Yeah, Archer
That's
did a
his
way better job.
limitation.
Yeah, Archer did a better job of mixing it up. Like he was throwing uppercuts, hooks really well. Um, a lot of the punches that Bivol would land were obviously from that distance, and he just didn't mix it up enough in the close range to win some of those exchanges.
Yeah.
So, man, did this fight kind of go how you expected it, or were you surprised by anything?
Um, I thought that Beebles, because when I've seen Bivol hit other people, like they respect it a lot. I thought that I've seen Arthur get dropped. I kind of some tomato cans. Not no disrespect to those people, but I thought that maybe Beebles snap would be a little more would have Arthur a little more on his back foot. I mean, don't get me wrong, like Arthur was definitely feeling it because his volume output was like really shit compared to the rest of his fights.
Yeah,
But but still, I thought that Beeble did get tired. I said that Beeble is one of those fighters that can move for 12 rounds and then go another 12 rounds. But in the 10, 11, and 12, he definitely looked tired. That was one thing that surprised me. Um,
facts. Archer's
other
conditioning was definitely spot on. Like he didn't look tired at all.
he was good.
Yeah, I mean, like I think that's also
And I'm a
comes
fan
down
of.
to go ahead.
Oh yeah, I'm a fan of both of these dudes, so I don't really care who wins or loses. But yeah, or if they get a draw, whatever.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, the fight kind of went how I expected it, but I also not as much as I thought as I expected. Like mostly due to Bivol. I did not expect Bivol to come out um just hands up, not throwing in a lot of the fight. Not a lot, but enough of where it would sway towards Archer. Like it's just too much of the high guard. He honestly, I texted you during the fight. I was like, why is he fighting like Canelo? You know what I mean? he went
Oh
he went
yeah,
kind of went away from himself and kind of was he had too much he game planned too much. I think his coaches gave him too much of a game plan, and he didn't just fight to his capabilities. I think he overthought it. I think he was just too safe, too defensive, too complacent's not the right word, but too inactive.
defensive. Yeah.
Yeah, it's too inactive in some of the fight. And but yeah, is there anything else you wanted to go over,
If
or do you want
he,
to go? Yeah, you keep going.
I was just gonna say if you didn't feel too much of Arthur, if Beeble definitely has to throw more and kind of open up a little more, you know.
Yeah,
If he didn't feel it, because I feel like he didn't throw a lot because he was feeling Arthur's power.
yeah.
But if he didn't feel it, if it was just a game plan thing, I would definitely throw more and mix it up, body, head more.
Oh yeah. One thing I think, Beevil, if you're listening, all you gotta do, man, on the after Beterbiev gets his punches off, just jab 1-2 to the body and circle. I think that was one thing he probably could have done better was take advantage of Archer's kind of upright posture and lack of footwork. If he can just jab to the body, just visually, it looks a lot better. But yeah, let's go to the Pereira fight. Um, so there was also this good UFC card. Let's just cover this Pereira fight first, and then we'll go see if there's anything else. But damn, dude, I was not expecting this good of a Khalil Rountree, man. He's a lot better than I thought. Um, I honestly thought that Pereira was probably gonna knock him out early, like first, second, maybe third round, but more likely first or second, and that was not the case. I think Khalil actually was actually winning up until that round four finish. But let me see. So, what were your initial thoughts? Since I already gave mine, like before the fight.
Oh, before the fight, yeah, I thought
Yeah,
Pereira was gonna win, but I thought Khalil was gonna give a good fight because he's a dog. You know, I thought that he was definitely gonna go on out on the shield if he had to, kind of like he did. But I didn't think that he was gonna beat Pereira because Pereira has such a great reach and height advantage on him.
Yeah.
If I don't think
Uh,
if Pereira had to fight himself, but with the stature of Khalil Rountree, the taller, longer Pereira would win.
yeah. Facts. Um, I think I'm trying to think back to this fight. I think Khalil was a little bit he was more explosive in my opinion, which I wasn't expecting either. Like because Pierre's got really good speed, timing, power, but it was just like that brute charging power that Khalil had. I think it caught Alex a little bit off guard. I don't think he's used to getting pushed back that much. I think Pereira's kind of used to being kind of like that Beterbiev style fighter where he can just inch his way forward and kind of scare you with his power. But Khalil surprised me. He was not scared. He was just dogging it out with him. He did exactly what he said he was going to do, which was not take Pereira down. And I think that was to his downfall because before the fight, Khalil's like, I'm not taking him down no matter what. I'm standing toe to toe with him. But if you remember, there was a point in the fight where Khalil actually knocked down Pereira because Pereira went in for that question mark kick, and then Khalil just stepped right up and hit him so hard and knocked him down. And at that point, if Khalil jumps on him, I think he could have done a significant amount of damage on the ground because we've seen in the past Pierre's not that good at getting back up. Like he'll give up the whole round just on the bottom. And I think if Khalil had just jumped on him, he probably could have caught him from the back on the side of the head, like taken his got on his back, just started unloading on the side of his head. And I don't want to say he could have finished
Yeah.
him, but he might have been able to finish him from such an advantageous position with his power. So Khalil, you dropped the ball. You really dropped the ball on this one. He should have been an MMA fighter. I think in any other fight, Khalil jumps on that position and finishes the fight. But he said he wasn't gonna do it. So I mean, props to him. But that was a huge game plan mistake. That's weird. It shows that Khalil didn't get any knockdowns, but that's not correct. Interesting. He definitely had a
Yeah,
knockdown.
I was that kind of caught me by surprise, and I think that caught Khalil by surprise. I think it wasn't in his instinct to go for the kill right there. He didn't have it.
Yeah.
I think
I,
it caught him
yeah.
by surprise. Because even if you're not gonna go grapple with him after knocking him down, like from a Muay Thai perspective, that's how a lot of Muay Thai knockouts happen, where you kind of drop someone or they level down, you kind of hold their shoulders and you head kick them from behind like that. Like that's classic Muay Thai
Oh
knockouts
yeah.
right there. But
Yeah.
I think that Khalil just didn't have the killer instinct at that specific moment because he was so focused on the game plan,
Mhm.
and the big moment kind of caught him, and he just didn't have the killer in him at that
Yeah.
moment.
And
Which,
then yeah.
but
Oh yeah, I was just gonna go to round four, but man, like I said, Khalil I had winning at this point, and I looked at the scorecards. He was also ahead, I think 2-1, and then it was early in round four. I think Khalil actually got a little too overconfident, and he thought he could go shot for shot with Pereira, and it was a very distinct moment when Khalil threw, Alex threw, and then Khalil threw right back, and then all of a sudden, like in that instant, Pierre just turned up the speed like two x. Like he threw a really really fast teep kick to Khalil, and that was the moment in the fourth round. I think it was like the first minute where the rest of the round it just was like an exponential snowball down for Khalil. Like I think and I think mentally he was like very how do I put it? I think mentally he started to give not give up, but he started to sway off of his game plan and his good tools. I think Alex got that good teep kick, that really fast one, and then Khalil was just trying to get one back for the rest of the fight, and that just really got really bad for Khalil because he was just one step behind Alex for the rest of that round until he got hurt, and then I mean after that cheap kick, uh, Pereira just started to do significant damage because Khalil was just trying to chase. He was just trying to get one back, right? You know, like in sparring where you go shot for shot, you're just trying to get one back. It was that fourth round where Khalil couldn't get that one back, and he couldn't get it back for the rest of the fight up until the end.
Yeah, that's kind of where Alex started countering him on everything that Khalil was throwing.
Yeah.
But but yeah, that's perfect example of everybody got a plan until they get hit, right?
Yeah. Uh,
What'd you think of the finishing sequence though?
I'm trying to remember how did it go again? Can't
So it
remember.
happened. He teeped him, and then Khalil started moving towards the cage and circling the cage, and then Alex started jabbing the shit out of his nose, and he started bleeding, and then he busted his eye, and then
Oh
Khalil was
yeah.
trying to get those back, and Alex was just pulling back slightly and countering with round shots, and
Oh
then
yeah. And then the body shots, right? It was the at the very end.
yeah, and then
Yeah.
Khalil was just Khalil was just holding his hands up to his head, and Alex wasn't throwing anything, and I was like, what the fuck is he doing? And then he kind of tried peeling the guard and shooting for the head. And then I was like, bro, if you just mix up the body right there, that's an easy finish. And then he finally did. But it
Yeah,
kind of took
yeah.
him a long ass time to do it.
Yeah.
Actually, I wasn't that people say it was like a destructive finish, and it was, but I wasn't that impressed. I thought like
It
he
was
should have
more
finished
like
him like way faster.
yeah, I think it was more that Khalil kind of gave out his body. He couldn't take it anymore versus like a clean
Yeah.
knockout or anything or something like that. But
Yeah, dude, I love Pereira, but yeah, he needs to vary up his jab and he needs better shot selection.
yeah, I mean, apparently he was like really sick going into this fight and they called the UFC and were like we might not make it. Like they were like seriously considering pulling out. And I just saw like a video like him like he almost didn't make weight. He was like super sick cuz he had to take antibiotics for some reason. But but yeah, I think he did kind of get exposed here. Like he's not that indestructible figure that everyone kind of had in their head. Like I thought, like even if you look at these odds, -500, that means he's gonna win like 5 out of uh 6 times, like or whatever the math is. But he's gonna win a lot most of the time, and that just wasn't the case. Like if Khalil in that round four, if Khalil just stuck to his game plan, I think he could have rode this out to a 5 round decision. But it is what it is. Like I think Pierre just a little bit better in the stand up, and he took advantage of the situation where he started to sense Khalil was slowing down, and he has kind of like that better finishing instinct where he poured it on him, versus Khalil tried to pick him apart and just was a little bit not careful, but he didn't have that killer instinct that instinct to just keep pushing and try to get that finish. So
Yeah.
props to
Yeah,
both guys though.
Pereira's instinct is like no other in the division for sure. But I think what I was just critiquing him on is that he could be even better. But he's that nobody's definitely fucking with him. Besides the maybe the wrestler.
Yeah, Uncle IF. Stand up wise, it's not looking good for he's gonna beat everybody on striking, but it's
Yeah.
like that it's that grappling where, like I said, Khalil should have just gone to the ground. But if yeah, we know if Magomed Ankalaev fights Pereira, it's gonna be a lot of shooting for takedowns, whatnot. But I believe if Pereira can defend enough of them, I've seen Magomed get a little bit tired, and I think that if he gets enough fatigue, out of if Pereira forces enough fatigue out of Magomed, I think Pereira can honestly finish him, because if Magomed shoots one too many takedowns and gets a little bit sloppy on one, I think Pereira is gonna do like a flying switch knee to the head, boom, headshot.
Yeah,
Oh,
for
ooh,
sure. You know who?
Carlos Olberg. That's probably
Oh yeah,
the last guy that has a chance at standing up with Pereira because this Carlos guy is no joke. He's got one shot KO power just like Pereira, and he's been finishing
he's just
everybody.
as and he's long as Pereira,
Yep.
and he's faster, and he has good timing.
Yeah, like if you look at his record, dude,
Yeah,
holy shit.
and that
Uh,
left hook is freaky.
knockout, 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 submission. So they're probably gonna front run this guy to the front of that division if they can. Maybe
What
give
is he?
Olberg. He's ranked
10?
10. I think if Olberg fights maybe like a Jan, a Jamal Hill, um, maybe even a Khalil, but I don't like that matchup for Olberg if he's trying to fight for the title, right? Because that's going to be a really hard fight. Even if Olberg does win, he might not be ready. He might get like a little banged up. But I just want to say, Juliana Pena, he did not win that fight. I hate them both. I hate both of them, but I don't think Pena deserved to win that fight. I think there's a little bit of a conspiracy theory I have that because we immediately after the fight, Amanda Nunes kind of tagged Dana White in a post on Instagram or whatever social media and is like pretty much hinting that she's gonna come back. And so I think the closest route for that is Pena versus Kayla Harrison, and then Nunes fights the winner. And I think Pena does not pose as much of a threat clearly because I thought she lost. I don't think she poses as much of a threat to Kayla Harrison. So I think Kayla Harrison just steps in there, probably finishes Pena, and then they do the Nunes versus Harrison. I think Pennington could actually dog it out with Harrison, which is kind of funny because Kayla Harrison's supposed to be like pretty dominant, but she won pretty
She kind
decisively,
of look
but
like shit.
she still kind of looked not as dominant as we would have expected against Ketlin Vera. So, but I've also been hearing like she's really struggling with the weight cut. Like she was like shitting blood or something, or peeing blood, something. Not shitting, but peeing blood, and she had to go to the doctor and shit. So I don't know how much her body can handle, how many more fights she can handle. I think the weight cut probably plays a factor, but yeah, I think she got cut or something in this fight, and she did not look as
Oh
good
yeah.
as I expected. But I think against Pena, she'll do just fine because Pena's striking sucks, so you don't gotta worry about that.
Yeah,
Like, do you see
yeah.
like Pena's stance, bro? It's like the most goofy looking. Like she like got her elbows flared out. Like she just looks so goofy. And if she has her hands up like that against Kayla, oh, she's going straight to the ground.
Who's their striking coach? Some hoodlum?
I don't know. It's probably Ronda Rousey striking coach.
I can see the similarities.
Yeah. Oh, I want to talk about this. I had I was really pissed off with this fight, man. I thought Aldo should have won this fight because I don't know if you remember, but Batista, man, just shooting, bro. Look, it says 10 takedowns he shot and he got 0, and somehow he won the fight, even though Aldo I thought won based off of damage. So this fight really pissed me off.
I think I fell asleep in the second round for this one.
Oh, you're lucky, dude, because I was getting so pissed off watching this, dude. Like, if you look at this, Aldo was outstriking him with significant strikes almost every round. Um, but it was that fucking humping shit that Mario's. I guess the judges were liking that. I don't know, but all of MMA Twitter was just like they wanted to see. I was seeing like they're making memes like put Mario Batista in a cage with Francis Ngannou or something like that. They're like the MMA gods need to punish this guy because obviously everyone's rocking with Aldo, and yeah, it should have been Aldo winning this fight, and probably he should have been fighting for the title next, just because of his street cred, you know. Him versus like maybe not even for the title, but bump him up to fight like Sean O'Malley or Peter Yan or Not Jan. They already
Is
fought.
Peter
Or
Young?
like,
And Peter Yan's 4. I haven't seen him fight in a minute,
yeah,
but he's fighting Figueiredo, huh?
yeah, that's a very good fight.
Dude, Peter
Peter
Yan's my
Yan,
favorite fighter,
yeah,
probably.
he gets screwed over so much, dude. Like, if you look at his record, like split decisions, like here split, split, DQ. He would have won that fight. But yeah, there's these split decisions that kind of screwed him over.
Damn, I didn't even watch that Yadong versus Yan fight.
Oh yeah, that was a good fight. I picked Yadong to win, but I think Jan
Yeah.
kind of exposed him. That was a good fight though. I think
Yeah, dude, that
Song
Figueiredo
Yadong's
versus
really
Yan
good.
fight is gonna be so good.
Yeah, I don't know
I never
who's gonna win that one.
Dude, I can't wait for the next UFC card though. That's we should hold off on going over that, but that's gonna be such a good
This
not
one,
that like yeah, the 308, yeah.
yeah, we'll make that for another episode. But yeah.
Ooh, Protest too. Dude, Protest, that dude
Oh
is
man,
cold.
that dude is a beast.
Yeah. You know how I was saying that Pereira sometimes needs a little better shot selection? That dude Protest has the best Muay
Dude,
Thai shot selection in the UFC that I've ever seen.
yeah, I think he comes out of that Fighting Nerds gym. That gym has the best strikers, like, uh, in the UFC, just as a collective whole. They've got him, Gene Silva, and a couple other guys that are just insanely good at striking. But yeah, that Prates guy's, he's got long ass arms, bro. He got freaky long arms.
Yeah, he kind of reminds me of like Prime Anderson, but a little more technical,
Yeah, and more a little bit more power. It
more
seems like.
power. Yeah, more power.
Yeah.
That's scary looking too.
Yeah, dude, he scares the shit out of me. When he fight, like, I picked against him in his last fight, and I was like, holy shit, this guy's insane. Who did he fight? Oh yeah, Li Jing Liang. That was a bad knockout. He fucking he rocked his ass bad. And you don't see Li Jing
Yeah,
Liang get fucked up like that very often.
that fool looks straight up like the boogeyman.
Yeah. Um. Let's see here.
What you
Oh,
think
did
about
you?
that Wonder Boy?
Oh yeah, dude. Was that last fight or last weekend?
Yeah, that was under the Pereira card
That was
against Buckley.
crazy. He was doing good.
He was piecing, he was piecing
Yeah,
him up. Yeah,
he looked really good. But it's just that explosiveness, man. Joaquin Buckley's got freak power. He's like Mike Tyson, and it's like the way
yeah,
he
it was kind of like a
strikes.
Mike Tyson move.
Yeah, it's the way he throws. He throws everything into those shots, and obviously you don't really want to do that against a guy like Wonder Boy because then he looks kind of stupid. But he got lucky there, and he caught him going against the cage, and Wonder Boy kind of had nowhere else to go, so he got lucky there. He tried it a few times before the knockout, and it just looked so bad. He straight up almost punched a hole through the cage a few times.
Yeah,
But that one that landed, you're not. I don't think anybody in that division can take that shot.
yeah, Wonder Boy got caught.
Yeah,
He should have rolled that one, but
yeah.
yeah.
I can't wait to see. I hope Joaquin Buckley gets that Bilal fight. And just fucking just hits him with the Ooga Booga and just sleeps him, bro. That would just be awesome.
Is it Usman fighting Bilal though?
No, who's fighting him? The other guy, Shavkat Rakhmonov. This fucking guy.
Oh yeah, dude, that's gonna be a good one.
Yeah, I think Shavkat is big enough to where he can kind of defend enough takedowns, and then he's got long enough reach where he can kind of fight at the end of his punches and keep Bilal far enough away to where Bilal can't just grab him like he did against who did he fight? Oh, Leon.
It would be a good fight. Della versus Buckley.
Oh, Jack Della Maddalena.
Yeah.
That would be a banger. That'd be so good. I think
What number is
Buckley,
Buckley?
he's 9.
Oh, 8 or 9.
I think he probably
Jack
fights. Yeah, he probably fights Jack. Honestly, that's a good fight.
or Ian Gary versus Buckley.
Oh, dude, I'd love to see that, dude. Ian Gary got exposed in his last fight, bro. I don't know if you remember. He was fighting MVP,
Oh shit,
and
yeah. MVP.
he turned into a wrestler.
Who
He straight up turned into a wrestler, and that's not gonna work against Buckley because Buckley can actually wrestle and he's strong as fuck. He's gonna hit him with the fucking Powerball and sleep. He's probably gonna sleep Gary.
Yeah, MVP's fast though. Faster than Buckley.
Yeah,
But
and
Buckley
he's
does have more
his
power.
timing. He's got crazy speed and he's got really good timing. He just knows
Who do
exactly
you
when to
want
step in.
who do you want MVP to fight next?
Oh man, let me think. I want to see him against someone that's not gonna go straight wrestler mode. So honestly, Buckley would be fun. Um, let me see.
Wonder Boy?
Wonder. Ooh, that's actually that should be Wonder Boy's retirement fight. Him versus MVP. I
Oh,
mean, that's like the best
Michael,
possible matchup.
yeah,
Not gonna
Michelle or
lie.
whatever, right? That Brazilian dude. That
Oh
dude's pretty
yeah,
cool too.
Michelle Pereira. That's a good one. I think he might. Is he
Oh no,
still?
that's a different weight class, my bad.
Yeah, he used. I think he actually used to fight at welterweight, but he moved up. But that would have been a banger. I don't see anyone else. Maybe JDM, but I think JDM would probably try to mix it up with him. Shavkat, that's a good one. Or maybe Leon, but Leon would probably mix it up and go wrestling. So either JDM, Shavkat, or Wonder Boy. That's probably the best matchup for MVP because I think we know by now MVP's not the best at wrestling. He's just not. I think he's just not very um, strong. I mean, not he's not like weak, but he's just not strong enough to like throw people off of him. You know.
Yeah, he's kind of new to the UFC. He hasn't gotten those good UFC supplements yet.
Yeah. Facts.
Give him
Facts.
a couple more months.
Yeah. 100%.
He's gonna get on that Brock Lesnar regimen.
uh, he's gonna turn into a wrestler. Shit.
You
Once he
see
gets
all
to the
those before
UFC,
and afters? There's been a lot of
nah.
before and afters of like fighters like years back, and then once they're getting closer to the championship, like Bilal and Izzy and shit, like they got fucking ripped.
Yeah,
Hella
yeah.
big.
I've noticed that. Bilal is super fucking ripped, bro. He pisses me off though. I don't. There's there's some people I really don't fuck with in the UFC, and he's probably number one on my list. I,
Number
I
one.
will I, I will say he did do a good job in his last fight of at least throwing. Like he actually outstruck Leon, but that was purely from the fact that Leon knew as soon as Bilal was done punching him, he was gonna grab him and hold him against the cage. And Leon just had a shit performance. It looked like Leon didn't even want to be there. So we'll see. Maybe Bilal will change my mind in this next fight against Shavkat. But if Bilal shoots for a takedown in the first minute of the first round, I'll never forgive him. Is there anything else you wanted to chat about?
um, nah, but next week we're gonna go over Ilya versus Max Holloway fight though.
Yeah,
I'm excited to go
definitely
over that one.
that's a good card. We'll just scroll through it real quick, just for fun.
Thank you for tuning in. If you're new to the podcast, please like, share, and subscribe.
Also, check us out on Instagram at P number 4P Combat Sports Podcast. Thanks for tuning in.